Kids will make you less productive. You're not gonna be able to do the same amount of stuff as a parent than when you didn't have kids. And I can tell you from my own experience as a parent of two that this is the case. There's just no way around that fact. But I pride myself on my systems, on my routines and habits and high performance frameworks, and have made everything possible and moved every lever to make the most of my business, my career, my personal goals, while at the same time being a loving and present father. In this video, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to have a productive life while at the same time having kids, and also spending a lot of time with them as well. Number one is to learn to say no. So the moment you become a mom or you become a dad, you will immediately have less time for yourself. If before you could do 10 things on your time or whatever you want to do in the day, now you'll be able to do maybe 4, maybe 5. You'll need to choose, you'll need to descope. For instance, before we had kids, I worked long hours at work, had many side projects, went out with friends quite a bit, had improv classes weekly, traveled 60 to 90 days a year for fun as well, cooked at home a lot and a lot more. So it was a very intense life. And fast forward to today, I had to drop a lot of this. So I work less hours, I have just one side project, I order food home a lot more, I see friends for lunch instead of for long night parties, and so on. Now, if you have your act together, you don't have to drop everything. Just expect that you're not gonna be able to do the same as before. It's just naive to think that you will be able to do the same as before. Unless, of course, you're an absent father or an absent mother, but you don't wanna be that. Just be aware that, again, you will need to choose. Number two is that you need to have a schedule. So once you have kids, you will tend to work on, even, let's say, live your life on like have your personal things going on the schedule. So you'll have chunks of time to work and to do your personal things, but you can't just let work like promiscuously through your whole life, like maybe you did before you had kids. Specific to work, you're just gonna have to work at the same time every day. Maybe that's in the morning or in the evening, like when the kids are sleeping most likely. And you have to work at the time whether you have inspiration flowing or not. That's the time it's like, okay, you need to sit down and get things done. There's gonna be times when you have to stop, even for example, you have this sacred moment and you have to stop and then just, move on, even if you're in a role, because, the kids woke up or something's going on. So again, you just need to be a lot more prepared for things like that. In my own personal example, for instance, I work on my side hustle. So for example, I'm scripting videos for this YouTube channel, I'm preparing things for this YouTube channel and my online courses and so on and so on. Between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning, so that's more or less what I can do. And that's just 1 hour a day that I can dedicate on my own personal things. I get stuff done in that hour or things don't get done. So, and I can't debate myself too much. It's like, okay, if there's no inspiration, I just force it through. Number 3 is that you need to execute ruthlessly. So we talked that you need to pick less activities and you need to be specific on when you're going to be working on these activities. You just need to make sure that when you actually sit down to work, you make the absolute best of that little time that you have. So for instance, when I say that I have like this 1 hour, I just make the most of that 1 hour. And even taking out my own example again as well, right? So I book myself normally 1 hour to film per week. So all these YouTube videos that you see, that's normally 1 hour a week that I have for this. And believe it or not, I normally film between 3 and 4 videos in just that 1 hour. You of course need to add that time for the scripting and editing and so on. Overall, because of this, I normally work on YouTube just between 4 and 5 hours a week. I'm a big productivity geek and I design systems like this, so making things like this possible, right? But again, it's something that you can do yourself for your own personal projects and for your own life or for your own career as well. But things I would suggest to you as well is that, for instance, I have incredible knowledge management systems. So I use the second brain approach to capture and consolidate notes and ideas and thoughts and scripts, and then use Notion as a living pipeline for video ideas and scripts as well and so on. It always means that I have something I could jump on in this 5:30 in the morning immediately and get to work on things done. I also remove friction wherever possible. I have this overkill desk setup with teleprompter, lights and microphones, and that makes filming videos so easy, it's crazy. You just can't imagine how easy it is for me to do this. I also have hired an editor that helps me edit most of the videos, removing that from my plate as well. And I have also experimented with hiring people helping me script videos as well. This works for me, but the principles apply for everyone. So you just need to think for yourself. How can you use knowledge management systems to make your work easier? Where can you remove friction in your life so you can actually go and execute faster? Make sure you click subscribe to the channel below, as I'm going to be making a video in the coming weeks on the ins and outs on how I run this online business just 4 or 5 hours a week in very much detail. So if that's the type of thing you will be curious about, again, subscribe to the channel. Next up is to use money to buy time. So the second you become a parent, immediately the babies come out and time becomes premium. And if you have the money and you can pay for it, do it. So for instance, one way I like to think about this is that you need to figure out what your per hour rate is for your work, like for your side projects, and even for your own personal happiness, as you could say. And then outsource any chores or work that costs under that. Do of that as much as you can. So for instance, here at home, we have a cleaner that comes every week. We have babysitter twice a week. We get groceries delivered. We get food delivered also a few times a week. If something will save me time and remove like something that I'm not so keen on doing from my own life, it's like worth it. So again, I even got a guitar teacher that comes straight to my house, because then saves me a commute. It's a bit more expensive, but again, saves the commute. My take here is that if you're a double income family and then clean the bathroom yourselves and spend hours in the supermarket or even iron all your own things, you're likely doing things wrong. So if you love, of course, doing these things, just go ahead and do it. But my thought here is that if I wouldn't be able to outsource all these things, I wouldn't be able to work on this business. And I like working on this business, bringing a lot of value, and I think it's a lot of fun. I want to be empowered to do this, and I think it's good to invest in the money in these kind of things to enable me to do it. Even I would do it even if I would earn a lot less money than I do at the moment. Also, for reference, I used to be all in on financial independence. I'm still are in a way. I'm still working hard on it, but I'm willing to relax a little bit these financial independence goals so long as I can unlock time right here and now. And at the end of the day, even all this is not that much money. Then you need to change your routines. So looping back to schedules, I used to have a crazy morning routine with journaling and long meditations and workouts and personal projects and more. And let's say I would even have a very full life, or I would cross a lot of my lights, speed on lights over here, just before I went to the office. So it was a fantastic mornings normally for me. And now times have changed. I still have a morning routine. I still have time for myself in the mornings, but I'm a lot more humble and conservative in what I can do with this time. I moved to do my work since the afternoon. I do shorter meditations. I just have this 1 hour to work on my own personal projects. I have these scopes, a lot of things I used to do in the mornings and do it now later in the day, or not at all. So I just know that I just need to be a lot more humble with my opportunities here. Even be aware, and I'm going to talk about this soon as well, is that it's not even possible to always do the morning routine, because what if the kids wake up at 5:30 and they just want to play, and it doesn't happen every day, but sometimes it happens, and then you just need to say, okay, goodbye morning routine for today. Beyond this, a big change, at least for myself, is that I have to work, and this is for my day job, sometimes in the morning or in the evening. So I never did this before. Normally, for me, closing the laptop at work was like the end of that. But now, because I go and sometimes pick up my children, right, at like 3 in the afternoon from the daycare or sometimes like that, means that, I have not had enough time to actually work on my day job. So I need to log in and do my work stuff at some other point in the day. Normally in the morning, sometimes in the evenings. But again, that's normally once the kids are sleeping, or as I said, sometimes it could be that the kids are with the babysitter. Then you need to learn to drop. So you might have the best plans, as I mentioned, and you might have the best morning routine, and you might have adapted your morning routine in a way that you can do it. But plans only survive the first punch, as they say, right? So you could make the perfect schedule, you can make the perfect routine, you can make all your alignments at work as well and so on. And if one of your kids gets sick, or the other one gets injured, or something as I said before, my son decides to wake up at 5 in the morning because he thinks it's more fun than at 7. Oops, you just can't get upset in a situation like this. You need to drop things and go with the flow, and be aware of that. Your children will come first, at least for me. I mean, of course, you can be a bad parent, but normally it's just if your son is sick, okay, you need to take care of him, right? So then of course you try to fix the situation. So I might take a few days again to train my son so he can wake up at 5 in the morning again and sleeps a bit longer, because it's better for everyone. But otherwise, if things are out of control, it's still people, right? So you just need to have enough planned or enough credit, so when things go sideways, and believe me, they will at some point, you're not left completely underwater. Last, you need to have a partner that you're in sync with. In all things like this, especially when you're growing up humans together, it's crucial that you have a partner that is aligned with these values. If you're willing to pay for time, but your husband or wife is not, you're gonna be in trouble. I know couples that even broke up because the guy didn't want to use a cleaner at home, or the girl didn't want to have a babysitter. Those are things that it's a lot more important that you and your partner in sync about this when you grow up the kids. At least for myself and my wife, we are both historically very cheap. We don't like spending money. We also at the same time knew that if there was one way to remove friction from our relationship, we had been together for 7 or 8 years before we had kids, right? We'll say, let's use the money, as I said before, just to remove this friction and be well together. But it's something that I didn't need to press super hard, or she didn't need to press me super hard. It was okay, we both realized that this was the good thing to do. And also with your partners is that life with kids is a game of compromises. So I aligned with my wife that I can have this hour in the morning to do my things. But in return, my wife gets her own hour at some point as well. So that she can go to the gym or whatever she wants to do. We're both holding the fort with 2 kids, and it's even harder again with 2 kids than 1. But again, if there's a will and you talk with together and you try to make things work out in a way that makes sense and they're compromises, you will make this work. And still, for all these challenges, I love my kids and enjoy immensely being a parent. It's definitely an adjustment, but hey, I mean, if you get your act together, it's not that bad. So to hear more about how I structure my day, check this video out where I explain my productivity system in depth. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again next week.